Hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining.
Whoa, there's a lot.
Is there?
Alrighty, apologize. We had a slight delay. We're trying to just run through some technical stuff. That way the rest of the tour goes smoothly. But I believe we are ready to begin. And for those who don't know, my name is Isaiah Segala. I'm the president of our AIAS chapter here at UTA. And today we've invited a firm here locally, here in Dallas, Hoefer Wysocki. They were a firm that I've actually interned at for 2 summers and a fall semester. Great office, great people. And we've invited them to share a little bit about their office, their work, their culture, and to bring some insight to what it's like to work in an office for those of you who perhaps haven't had an internship before, or you've worked at a different office and you just want to get a variety of perspectives when it comes to the working environment. But with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our friends at Hoefer Wysocki, and y'all can take it away.
Great. Thanks, Isaiah. Definitely appreciate you setting this up. We look forward to meeting some of you guys at the upcoming career fair. We will be there. We'll run through real quick some just individual introductions of who we are. I'm Christy Murphy. That's me. I'm a senior project manager here and have been focusing most of my career in the healthcare world. So
I'll go next. Hello. I am Tiffany Kahlor. I head up our interior design efforts here in our Dallas studio. We're a really integrated studio. But yeah, I guess I'm one of the design leaders and work with all of these guys every day.
Jaron Ricketts, hello. Kind of like Christy, I'm on the healthcare side, but do cross over to a lot of the different disciplines. One of my big passions and focus here at the office is design technology and making sure that if we're competing with the big firms, that we have the right tools and work with our senior team and leadership to make sure that the processes and our tools go hand in hand. So that's a big focus for me.
Cool. I'm Mike Claraday. I went to Texas A&M University, and I've been working here at Hoefer Wysocki now for about 3 years, and I am an architectural designer.
And then also Jaron and I, both of us, we went to UTA. I went for my master's.
Yep, UTA is my alma mater for undergrad and grad. So I was there in the mix with you guys. Just preceded you a little bit.
Just a little bit. So just as a quick introduction to Hoefer Wysocki, we are actually celebrating our 25th anniversary. So it's a really exciting year for us. We started in the Kansas City area, and was it 6 years ago now? Is it 6 years?
Yeah.
That we started the Dallas office as a offshoot to the Kansas City office, but it's really grown to a self-sustaining office here in Dallas. What was really neat is that Mitch Hoefer, our owner, he started up in HKS environment here in Dallas, moved back to Kansas City and started up the firm Hoefer Wysocki. When he started up the Dallas office, he really wanted to bring on people that he knew and trusted to be able to start up this office, and brought in John Castorina, a well-known healthcare designer that he also worked with in his HKS days. So this firm and this office really kind of started with John Castorina coming and really building this office. We are now at about 33 employees here in Dallas. About a little over half is dedicated to architecture. And then we also have a clinical technology group that does a lot of things related to medical equipment planning, as well as clinical consulting for technology, IT, and integration of kind of those challenging systems that like healthcare needs to be able to do to operate hospitals. Our main focus here in the Dallas office is mostly healthcare, higher education, and commercial work. And our Kansas City office also focuses on those three, along with civic, residential, like multifamily residential, and some government work. Yep. Is there anything else?
A little bit of hospitality.
A little bit of hospitality.
You'll see a lot more on our website beyond our three focuses here in Dallas, which are the healthcare higher ed and commercial.
So one of the things that actually Mike here, he spent a lot of time because we knew that a lot of these career fairs were going to be virtual. He put together a video of our office that gives a little bit of a tour of our office. It kind of goes through a little bit of what it's a day in the life of maybe a young professional in our office. I don't know, Mike, are you ready to cue that up and play that?
Sure. Yeah, I can put that up.
Has Isaiah seen this yet?
No, I don't know. We
No,
also
I
have
haven't.
we'll have a YouTube link in our career fair booth that you can also go and take a look at the video as well. Fingers crossed, technology works for us.
Yeah, let us know if the audio doesn't play when we hit play.
Yeah. So Isaiah, I just shared screen. Can you give me a thumbs up if it's looking
So
good?
we see it, but I just wanted to confirm whenever you share screen, there's also a checkbox at the bottom left to share computer audio. Not sure if you click that.
Okay, I'll make sure to do that.
You may need
And
to
teach us
stop
something.
share and then reshare.
Gotcha.
Same thing as Teams.
He said bottom left, where it says unmute.
So click share screen, then a new window pops up, and then in that new window in the bottom left, there's a checkbox.
All right. Share computer sound, screen, share.
Sounds good.
The culture here is a true studio environment. Whether it's a pinup session in the design lab or a spontaneous charrette at the teaming tables, there's a lot of activity going on. I love the energy of the studio, and there are so many exciting people to learn with.
Every person here is truly passionate about the work that we do. It's not just a job, it's a commitment to bring our very best every single week. We want to elevate our work, we also want to elevate each other, and we have a lot of fun along the way.
You're very close with the people here. The perks of having a small studio means you will quickly get to be on first-name basis with everyone. The open space allows everyone to be free to share their voice and be a part of the design dialogue. It really feels like an open forum. I'm constantly turning my chair around to collaborate with the people in my area.
And even though we're a small studio, we're doing a lot of big work. We have all the talent and resources of a larger firm, which allows us to compete with them for projects. Whether that's designing a university hospital, a college campus, or master planning an entertainment complex, there are so many opportunities to grow and find your place.
I love that I have the opportunity to learn something new every day. The firm sees you as an investment, and because of this, you really get to dive into a lot of aspects of the work at every stage of the design process. Because of the openness of our studio, if I have a question, there's always someone close by and willing to talk through something with me.
As part of your growth in our studio, it is key for you to be intentional in your learning. And it is our responsibility and excitement to be a part of elevating your knowledge and passion for your career. We love to see how you can learn, and we aim to find the best opportunities and solutions for each member of our studio.
The most important thing to me is that here, everyone's voice matters. You can be an intern, fresh out of school, or have 30 years of experience under your belt, your voice will be heard. Our studio has an open door policy, and we celebrate what everyone can bring to the table. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career, because at the end of the day, the best idea wins.
All those wires that sit on the white box.
Provide practical experience in a professional environment. Our goal is to empower you to explore your passions in the field of architecture. We give you the tools, the resources, the expertise to grow and find your path. What will you become?
Wow, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, Isaiah, you probably notice all of the actors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I'm sure that video is a little choppy on your guys' end. So at the end of this presentation, we'll drop a link in the chat. You guys can watch it in its full quality. So yeah, and we got some more footage from that too. So stay tuned. We'll have some more stuff to check out in the future.
So that kind of leads into a little bit, Isaiah, I know I had asked you, maybe do you mind sharing just a little bit about what your experience was like as an intern here in our office, kind of run through just what you felt like got you the type of experience that you were looking for? Do you mind just spending a couple minutes doing that?
Yeah, certainly. So I had my first internship at Hoefer Wysocki. It was at the end of my fourth year, so basically the last year of my undergrad. And through that, immediately off the bat, I was put on several projects, it seems like at once, but I really appreciated that I was able to go back and forth to projects that were perhaps more design oriented, where I worked pretty closely with Mike, who's joining us here, where he and I both were tackling design problems, which is pretty unique as an entry-level designer. Usually what you'll hear from other people is that whenever you first get an internship, maybe you become the person who's solely doing construction drawings or something very niche like that. But what I appreciated most was that my experience, I already fresh out of school or out of my undergrad, I was working on design problems as well as many other tasks. And I would say that even though it was a brand new office, everybody really made me feel acclimated and invited. There was always someone that I could turn to, whether that was in my immediate desk clump or if I needed to talk to a project manager or project architect or even the principals. I would say that principals and the partners of the office are also very welcoming. They are always engaging in conversation. And perhaps to conclude that thought, I would say that their support throughout my time there has always, or it has been very, consistent and very supportive. They asked me to continue on while I was going through my first year of grad school. So I did a semester and worked in the office part-time. They were very accommodating of my schedule and kept me plugged in with a lot of different projects. And they've been so gracious to invite me to come back now that I'm graduating with my master's here in the spring. So I think that speaks to the close-knit nature of the office culture, that once they invest in you through your internship experiences, they always want to invite you back just because that's the type of culture that they are there. So I'm excited. I don't think I mentioned that before, but yeah, I will be starting at Hoefer Wysocki starting in the summer. So that's pretty great.
We're so excited to have Isaiah come join us full time.
I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah.
We've got your desk ready for you.
All right, sounds great.
Well, and I don't know if everybody noticed, but we are actually back working at our office physically. We have worked through a lot of the COVID challenges and social distancing. As you can see, we all are wearing our masks whenever we're in rooms together. If we're sitting at our desk, we do remove masks, but we have been able to work effectively. We felt like it was really important for our culture and our studio environment to be back in the office, doing ideation and collaboration together in the same office. And it's really helped keep all of us very active and busy during these COVID times where it's to us, it's back to business, just with a little bit of extra precautions needed to be able to feel like we're in a safe environment.
Well, we got a lot of positive feedback too from the staff. Obviously initially when COVID was early on and we were slowly releasing everybody from a true quarantine, there were a lot of unknowns to deal with in a professional environment. And so we did take it one day at a time. It's definitely baby steps, but once we got over the hump of figuring out the safety and comfort level and appropriate protocol for everyone, we found that it was very well received to get to interact in a more collaborative and personal manner again, as opposed to just screen to screen. However, we are a lot more flexible now. We all got stuck at home last week in a snowstorm. And so if you had power and internet, we do have those capabilities, but we're really thankful that we've found a way to continue working in the way that we feel is best for ourselves and best for our projects.
Yeah. And to add to that, we pride ourselves in being a high performance design firm, and like I mentioned before, is the technology. And so when you're here in the office, you've got the technology to compete. And when you're at home, you've got the technology to compete. That's the point, is that no matter where we're at, we try to make sure that our team, which is, you guys as well, those that get an opportunity to join us, have that ability. And I mean, Mike, whether he's designing it at home or he's designing here, we're able to have that collaboration. What Tiffany mentioned, though, is that we found is that it's really hard to replace that just personal collaboration for that ideation side of it, the design side of it. It's really difficult to replace just being in person.
Yeah.
So we're really fortunate with the partners and leadership in the company to set up protocols that allow that to return.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we're going to spend a couple of minutes. Mike actually has got a presentation of a project that we've done that just maybe goes through a little bit of how we might approach a project, a little bit of our design philosophy. So Mike, you want to go ahead and get started on the presentation?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to drop you guys into this is the typical design presentation that we will prepare for any of our projects that undergo a schematic design phase. And as I go through this, Tiffany, you can jump in and add anything. So this is going to be for a project in Euless, Texas. It's a medical office building. And, just like you guys are doing in school, like with a semester long project, with each of these projects, we're starting from the early stages of ideation, gathering information, precedent studies, and working our way up to design iterations, and ultimately into a design package that will transition into production. And so here I'm showing a slide that's showing, at the start of these projects, we're getting feedback from the client, and sometimes these are in like a roundtable meeting. In this case, we did a more interactive pinup session, where we gather a lot of precedent imagery, and we have this cool strategy where we have these sticky dots, and the sticky dots represent different moods. So like you can imagine, if someone's putting a green dot on a carpet tile they really like, or a building massing they really react well to, they'll put a green dot. If it's something they're not jiving with, like maybe they don't want a cold, sterile, like polished concrete floor, that helps us give that feedback. And then we start to gather that information, and that's, the first couple of weeks, we're not showing them floor plans and elevations. We're really just gathering data and feedback.
Well, yeah, it really goes back to one of our philosophies, which is to be listeners. We know that before we can start drawing, we have to listen to not only just basic requirements and program needs, which are very important, but we also have to listen to their terminology. And so when we run through certain exercises, we're always trying to figure out, how do we make sure we're speaking the same language? There is a opportunity for us to educate them with our terminology, but we also have to understand theirs with these more kind of subjective criteria aspects. And so we do a lot of different things in early design to figure out how to do that. And so this is a really good example.
Yeah, first and foremost, we're servant leaders. That's what we are for our clients and our community, is we're there to serve them and lead them. And to do that, we have to listen.
Right. And it's a two-way conversation where in the same way that we're listening to their needs and visions and principles, desires, it's a two-way feedback. We're providing our architectural language and trying to bridge that gap. And so we really, we translate that by, we invest a lot into our graphical impact of all the designs that we push forward. So
I forgot you did potatoes.
Yeah, this is the fun presentation.
Yeah, so here I'm just showing the trying to give, because we're trying the graphics. We're trying to help communicate very complex ideas, and we're trying to communicate them in an easy to digest way so that anyone can understand it. So here we're communicating, the size and scope that we're working with. We're going to show them everything from traffic data to surrounding land uses to kind of, to enlighten them on certain, this is us kind of, bridging the gap where they may not realize that, you know, the close proximity to some residential may, you know, propose concerns towards, you know, privacy concerns, towards noise mitigation, things like that. We're just trying to kind of slowly build them up to a design decision rather than just, you know, like Elon Musk, he just pulls the tarp off of the Cybertruck and it's like, here it is. We're like, we don't want to scare them too quickly. We want to build up to that money shot rendering so that we can kind of educate them towards that solution. And then here we have some kind of partie diagrams to kind of, you know, the same kind of partie diagrams you guys would build up to with your presentation. In the same way, you know, we're going to have some partie diagrams to show, you know, what led to the design decision. So here we're communicating the big, you know, there's many factors that lead to a design, thousands. So here we're just communicating the big ideas. So one of the big things, obviously, a huge 100-foot setback, you know, that's a big, oops, wrong direction. That's a big restraint. And so that puts our building in the top left corner. Then the next constraint is we have a primary access from the west. We also have a visibility issue with the residential, so that will also reflect the orientation of the building. Then, you know, the client, they were really pushing for a courtyard, so that would influence the actual geometry of the building. So now we've done position, orientation, now building geometry. Next, we have a satellite site. The satellite site is where the majority of parking would exist. So we're going to show them how we're going to bridge those two sites together through a promenade. And then through there, we're communicating, this is an MOB, so there is a clear distinction between the staff entry and the patient's entry. And so that, again, is going to influence the site design as to where we locate entries and parking. And then ultimately, as we build them up to that, we'll hit them with a sexy site plan. And of course, that's just site. So as we pivot into the exterior design, this is not a graphic I would have shown them. This is just for y'all's humor. So something we come across a lot is, you know, the client, again, like I was saying before, it's a two-way conversation where we're listening to their feedback, but at the same time, sometimes we get hit with a restraint that we need to really drive the importance of staying away from. And in this case, we had a client that made it very clear to us they want to just duplicate an existing building that we've already designed onto their site. And so, of course, this is where we come in and we say, you know, this is a building that has a different budget. It's made in a different climate. It's a completely different program. You know, this is a higher education building. They don't have to, you know, adhere to the privacy standards of like healthcare design. So this is another part of it that, you know, where us as, you know, with our graphics, with our design language, that we're able to communicate this in a way that it's a win-win situation for both of us. You know,
Just don't show our designers in Kansas City what you've done with
No.
this.
This is very this is stowed away.
Tongue in cheek here.
Yeah. But so again, we're not about making compromises. So we're listening to their feedback and we're providing them with a solution that works both, you know, that works for them without having to, you know, copy what we've already done. So tailor-made, exactly, custom. So here we're digesting elements of the building that they reacted to. We're communicating, you know, with us, whenever we start with a design, with a massing, we always start with the basic principle, kind of like the 10 commandments of design for us. We've established a scale first, proportion second, rhythm third. So first, the scale of the building is it's a 3-story building with a massing in the middle that's meant to communicate an intuitive entry. The building has a play of proportions that we think that they are, you know, reacting to. And then also the building has a certain rhythm to it. We understand they're attracted to the kind of materiality of this kind of duality between the raw and synthetic, the raw being the masonry work, the synthetic being the more metal work. And of course, the kind of, you know, high visibility curtain wall in the middle. And so we've taken all those design principles and we create a design that reacts to all of those. So here, just building up that massing. Again, these partie diagrams are so crucial to build up to that final money shot. So here we're establishing the scale of the building. You know, it's a typical double loaded corridor, 4-story building. And then before with the site design, we show how it's going to wrap around a courtyard. Again, we're going to have like an entry in the center. So that's going to start to drive some design considerations later on. We start to frame the building to kind of isolate certain areas. The frame effect helps to promote the visibility and access of the ground level and kind of help promote an intuitive entry towards that front lobby. And here, yeah, we're communicating the idea of like a promenade that's really gonna like push that experience towards that lobby. Here, we're starting to carve into, you know, we're here, we like to say that we're sculptors and not painters. So everything you see here, we're just sculpting this building. And so here we're sculpting out that lobby area, and that massing move is going to drive vertically up the full extent of the building. On the ground level, it's going to be an entry. On the other levels above, it's going to be a courtyard. And again, all this is tying back to that initial feedback session where they wanted a hospitality experience. And so here, this is where we start to drive those inspirations like balconies.
And so what we're trying to communicate with all of this, and Mike just does such a fantastic job at representing something that, you know, our design director has promoted for years. It is very easy to follow along, but it's basically navigating through a series of decision-making points, as opposed to looking at an image and trying to explain it more according to kind of just that facade design. And what we found is that most of the time when we are able to walk them through in this way, it answers so many questions along the way. It validates so much of why the building looks how it looks when we get to this money shot, that we have really narrowed down the conversation. And we have taken out a lot of the fluff of just helping them understand aesthetic choices versus design criteria. And so typically what we'll find is that even if there are some topical applications here that are undesirable, like for example, let's say that they think this building is fine, but they want to talk about finishes, they at least start to agree with us on the fundamentals. That site plan, the orientation of the building, the access point, driving attention to a certain spot. They started to give us consensus steps along the way. So we've achieved so much in a short amount of time, because as designers and architects, we get to do a lot of talking. But these visuals really help put some meat behind our words as we go, you know, because that client just that's all they hear. But we're showing them so much to latch onto visually at the same time. And I do love that it relates so much back to often what you focus on with your school projects. You know, there is so much more of a focus on this diagrammatical language that is so appropriate. I mean, it simplifies and it helps everything become digestible.
Yeah.
And that's what we do every day.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say from personal experience, like coming out of school and coming and working here, I was really surprised that studio culture, that studio environment it felt the same as school. There was still, you know, all of the camaraderie of physically being near all of the, you know, designers in the office. Everyone that walks by your computer and sees something interesting on your screen, they stop and they want to talk about it. Everyone wants to collaborate. Everyone's excited to hear, you know, what everyone's working on, and it felt the energy was the exact same as what I remembered in school. Yeah, that's all I want to share.
That's a really good look at a typical design presentation for us. This building has evolved a little bit since this presentation, but it's currently being built or soon to be built in Euless, Texas. So it's a live project. Hopefully, if you have any interest, you can check it out along the way. But
yes, because it has changed quite drastically. So this is a good example of a project that we made it all the way through design. We put out construction documents.
Yeah.
And then the client came back and said it didn't meet its pro forma. We need to cut off 2 floors of the building and see what
Well,
happens.
Yeah, so essentially, just to give everyone a little bit of insight, what happened is COVID hit. So we finished up construction documents and was about to start construction on this in February of last year. Then COVID hit, and so the client came back and said, "Hey guys, the building was great, but how do we right size this for the new economy?" And so they came back to us with a boring budget and said, "All right, well guys, we're just going to do a boring project up and down, like what you see up and down 635." And when I was speaking with the client, I said, "Guys, look, nothing's changed. You know, the budget is the budget. We're just going to spend creative energy like we did last time to come up with something that everyone's proud of." And that's what you get here is, and that's the big thing that we're selling to the client is no matter what project you have, we're going to provide that creative energy. We're going to provide that high performance design to make sure that whatever that comes out of this door, we're proud of, as well as the client. And that's what happened. Mike, I don't know if you were planning on showing.
No, we
that,
just didn't
but-
really have time
and that's
today.
fine.
So.
And that's fine. But
Yeah.
that's the point is that we're going to put that energy in no matter what we're doing. And those that are working here with us get to do the same.
So that kind of concludes our portion. We definitely wanted to open this up. I know it's a little bit harder to do it in a Zoom environment, but I would like to open it up for just some general questions. If you have anything about professional practice or what internships or what a real graduate position would look like, or, I mean, we're open to anything. If not, we also have some questions we asked ourselves that we thought, if you're too afraid to ask, maybe we can ask them and answer them. So, but maybe Isaiah, is there a way that we can go through an organized way of asking questions?
Sure. What we've done in the past is if you have a question, if you don't mind dropping it down in the chat, then I'll call on everyone or whoever asks a question. We could go in order that way. That way we could get to hear from everybody. But if I may, to start us off, Christy, I'll start with the first question. The question I have is, what resources does the Hoefer Wysocki office offer to young professionals when it comes to professional development? I think you alluded to it with the last thing that you mentioned there. So what opportunities or resources does the office provide to help young professionals develop?
So we are highly motivated to get everybody licensed. So we work, so as project managers especially, we'll work with the junior staff to be able to understand where they may have already earned AXP hours, say if you had a previous internship or whatnot, or if you haven't had a previous internship, talk through how you can strategize getting the hours you need for AXP in order to be able to get through your hours on the projects that you're assigned to. And that just is a constant communication. Sometimes we may ask you to go in and jump on another project so that you can get those hours elsewhere.
Right. And to add to that, we really take mentorship, very, very serious here. As Michael kind of mentioned in the video kind of talked about is we're wanting to invest in you. The only commodity that we have that's the most valuable is our time. And so we really make sure that we're investing in you. I think Mike, I'm his mentor for AXP, and then I'm that for a couple others here in the office. And so we really try to give you the tools to empower yourself as well, and just that daily interaction.
And Mike, you've recently gone through the whole kind of AXP process and studying for the AREs. I mean, you had books and library materials and stuff to help study by. Did you also do any type of
AXP or NCARB? Like the test?
We're taking the tests.
Oh yeah. You guys have a lot of material.
Okay.
Tons. Yeah. Lots of a lot of them. There's like I don't know how much you guys have. There's a lot of study materials for the AREs, even beyond, there'll be some books that are like, this is the book for this particular test. But as you all know, there's all sorts of like ancillary study materials like podcasts and other things like that. And yeah, we had this like gigantic folder at our office where we just have like just hundreds of study materials. So
and I
yeah,
think
there'll be
that
a
we
lot of
almost
that.
always have somebody that is studying for tests. And I know that that there was just some natural discussions and dialogues and study groups that happened when
Yeah.
people were taking similar tests, or say, hey, why don't you take this test first and then take this
Do
test?
we
Just
pay for employees to take the AREs?
If you pass the test, you get a full refund on every one you do.
And then there was I think I saw a question up there that what we value most in interns. I personally, I want somebody that's going to be inquisitive. I want somebody that's going to ask questions and genuinely want to know the answers, because sometimes that answer is going to come from me or Tiffany or Christy or Mike or themselves. I want somebody that's going to take the time to research and try to really passionately want to understand.
Yeah, engagement is so important. You know, I think that the tricky thing with, you know, internships and even, you know, early young professionals right after graduation is that you're so immersed in learning all the time, right? Which is great. Like you're receiving and you're learning and you're getting poured into, and you're going to continue to. The professional environment is going to teach you so much, but you have to kind of remember that as all of that education is coming your way, to kind of bring your own amount of energy to meet up with that. And it's the pairing of the two that makes you successful. It's not one or the other. And that's really what we look for. You know, we were talking about this analogy in a leadership discussion the other day of, if you ever meet our design studio leader, John, he's a great analogy user. And so his most recent analogy was all about hockey. And he's like, you know, we look for team members that anticipate where the puck is going to go, not watch it travel, not make sure to just be alongside of it or wait to see where it goes, but to anticipate where it's going. And that's such a useful analogy, because it's that kind of proactive energy that makes all of us successful in what we do every day. Our interns, looking at this question about working with other firm disciplines, the disciplines that we have in-house, so interior design, architectural design, and our clinical technology solutions team are all completely integrated, especially on the project teams. You know, I lead our interior design studio. I'd like to say we don't have one because we're so integrated. But in terms of other disciplines, you know, we do try, actually, thanks to all this virtual COVID learning curve that we've had going on, there's actually more opportunity for interns and our young staff to attend meetings that they wouldn't have otherwise attended, because when we all traveled to a meeting previously, we're just there. We didn't always get to take everybody with us, but now that we're just clicking, just like you're doing right now, when we're meeting with our consultants, when we're meeting with our clients, there's a lot more opportunity to involve more people for the learning's sake, which we definitely take advantage of.
Well, and one of the things that we did on that ULIS project that Mike showcased, that I'm a big fan of, and I do this on all of my projects, and so do others in the firm, is we have weekly team meetings, and that includes all the disciplines. As Tiffany mentioned, we have a lot of that in-house, but when it comes to all of our engineers and consultants, we have weekly meetings there that are quick touch points, and everybody is invited to that. So everybody from a first year intern to the partner or principal on the project. And so there's opportunities like that, because at the end of the day, it's about training and education. And sometimes you may just be a fly on the wall, but other times you'll get an opportunity to speak up. I think one of the big mottos that we have here is best design or best idea wins. And so that's the reason why we have those meetings. And that's one of the things that answers the next question is what makes us different from other firms. I feel it's our integrated process. We're really big about integrating and blending, kind of blurring the lines of the traditional silos that the industry has moved towards.
And so what does that
20
mean?
years.
It means that it's not that we don't have, so we all have specializations, right? So Jaron and Christy are specializing on the project management side in so many of their project roles. Currently, Mike's really operating as a project designer on many of his project roles. I operate as an interior designer, interior architect, and that's our specialization. But we have this common language that we all speak. Hopefully, we have a common language of planning. Hopefully, we have a common language of problem solving. Hopefully, we have a common language where we can take concepts and build them through to some technical aspects. And so we like to make sure that we all have those universal components. And then we have our specializations that we really hone in on. And that helps make us, what do we call it? Like
Navy SEAL team.
Navy SEAL. Yeah, we want to be able to trade hands really fluidly in a small studio so that we're not limited as to what the team can do and what each person can bring to the table. And that gets really tricky when we're trying to train and keep everybody multifaceted, but it's also a challenge that we love and that we embrace.
Absolutely.
I guess that's how we're taking a risk.
I don't know. We may scroll up and see if there's some other ones that we might have skipped through. I think we answered a couple of them. So
yeah, we tried to answer them along the way, Isaiah.
I think y'all did a good job with that. I did have another one, which it came to mind after looking at some of these questions. It's sort of a spinoff of how do interns participate in meetings with other firm disciplines, which you already answered, but how are interns engaged with meetings with people outside of the office, whether that's consultants, job site visits, or anyone in between? Could you speak to that?
Well, I think that we try to do a good job integrating people at any level in our meetings. And so we've had a lot of big projects here recently under construction. And so we had several opportunities that we brought people out to job sites, sometimes for actual project work where they would come in and help with doing a site walk and doing a field report right up afterwards. Then we would also have a couple of times when it was just an educational purpose. Let's bring the office out to the job site and we'll do a very high level review of why we did certain things, maybe some construction issues we may have had in the field and how we resolved them, but it's more of an educational big office environment walkthrough. And then, they've helped with punches on the site. We've had a lot of integration with all levels, including interns. Actually, the interns were a huge help to us in getting through a couple of really large projects that had to get punched. And so they were out on the job site 2-3 days a week, sometimes with me in oversight to be able to run through punch after punch of 700,000 square feet of a hospital, which just gets you really good experience in general. And so I think that we do a really good job. And I think Jaron already mentioned, we have with technology a much easier way for people to, at any level, to join into meetings, whether they're there for just an educational purpose to sit and listen in to the conversations, or even to interact depending on what the discussion points are.
Right. Any?
If I may ask one more, and perhaps this one's more directed at Mike. So Mike, you and I, we worked together quite a bit while I was interning at the office. So I got to see some of the things that you had your fair share in. Do you mind describing your experience? Because I know that you're very involved. Like we just saw a client presentation, and I know you've been involved with numerous things or tasks like that. What value do you find in those experiences where you feel as a young designer, you get a chance to be in these communications with clients in this way?
Yeah, so like the presentation that you just saw, like that would have been something that, I would have worked with the design team producing graphics for, and, the meetings you're producing graphics for, you're going to be in that meeting yourself. And yeah, throughout the schematic design, I was very included in a lot of those meetings. And even after schematic design, you'll still find yourself in design development and construction documents, and you're continuing to work, attend meetings. You get to talk to consultants. You get to talk to manufacturers that are going to make the materials that will be on the building. you get the full experience of all that stuff. And I think for me, like being in those client meetings, like it really helps you, you know, because like in studio, like I'm my own client, or, you know, my professor's my client. So once I actually like meet these people in person, like the actual clients, I think the most interesting experience with that was like seeing how diverse they all are. Like they aren't, one of them is, will have like one personality, one will have another personality. They all have different visions. Every one of them has a different idea about how the project will come together. Some are, more receptive to feedback. Some need a little more, hand holding. It's really interesting to see all the different, and that really helps reinforce like the way you create graphics, the way you communicate ideas, and that really helps. Like as you're designing the building, you can actually like think of that like in the back of your mind, like knowing the type of person that woman or man was, like the client. It makes it feel like a lot more real. Like I'm not just like designing in a vacuum. Like it really helps. Just so many light bulbs go off. You make so many connections. Like you just have so many like aha moments, and it's really nice like being able to showcase a project to someone whose life is actually going to be like impacted by what you're showing them. And that's like I can't even describe like what that feeling is like. That really just it just brings so much meaning to like everything that we're doing.
One of the other comments up there, what makes your firm different from other firms in Dallas? I think that's a really good question. For us, it's really about the fact that we are a small firm that really is doing all the same stuff that the big firms are. We have the ability and knowledge and expertise here to be competing with a lot of the big firms, but you're getting it in a small firm environment. So you have the benefit of having the knowledge and the background to do big scale, big projects in a small environment. And what that small environment allows us to do is it gives you the ability to be multifaceted, as Tiffany said. We have the ability to get you well-rounded experience in pretty much everything, because everybody here does have to be adaptable. You have to be able to work on different types of software. You have to be able to take on different types of roles and different projects. So we really want to work on developing that full, well-rounded architect that you can take up any project at any point in the project at any phase and be able to deliver the project, and then really sit and focus in. It's like, you may have a tendency for a certain aspect of architecture, and that's where we'll sit and grow you specifically in, so that you can be able to be what we call a T-shaped architect. You're well-rounded across the top, but then you have a finger of specialty, like Tiffany said. And I think that's what really sets us apart, is because we're small, you have the opportunity to really do as much as you want. And really design your career and future here.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah was supposed to like write half of that video, but he just he was busy. So only you had, been here.
Next video, I promise I'll help out.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments where like, if Isaiah were here, ...
Yeah, exactly. I love the question up there, is working overtime a typical occurrence for interns? I wouldn't say it's a typical occurrence for anyone. And if you join a firm that they answer that as yes, man, we really try to value a work-life balance here, but we are passionate, like I said, with what we're doing. And the fact that we consider ourselves a high-performance design firm, sometimes that bleeds over into overtime hours for sure, but it is not a typical occurrence, I would say.
I think our mentality is more work smart.
Yeah, work smart, not necessarily, long hours hard type of situation. Yeah.
It's communication.
Yeah.
If you kind of keep up with what you're doing and who you're working with, and you kind of understand the expectations and you meet them, that's the key. We all want to have balance. We all want to have a life.
Yeah. I mean, if overtime is a typical occurrence, then I feel like you're doing something wrong. Personally, if it's typical.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to say myself, like people here invest a lot in education. So if there's a task, that's like if there's a task that's taking longer than you thought it would, like I know, like from the back of my mind, there's like 5 Revit experts like within a hand's distance from me that can teach me how to do that in like 5 minutes. And then, I mean, like, I'll just say like the education here is really not, everyone's like, I can just like tap on the shoulder of the guy sitting behind me and he'll teach me anything about Revit that I want. And he's not gonna, you know, be grumpy and say, well, like, oh, I'll see if I can free up my calendar, you know, Thursday night to teach you how to use, you know, the Boolean subtraction tool in SketchUp or something like that. Like he's just gonna show me right then and there. Like it's
Sometimes I'm grumpy, Mike. I'm just kidding.
Let's see, there's another one. What core values are most important to the culture of the firm?
Good grief.
Yeah, that's
as it relates to like internship experience or just in general.
Well, I mean, some of our core values.
Core values, integrity, honesty, transparency,
Communication, collaboration.
We don't try to, just good old fashioned kind of value system. We find that being kind of honest and true to who we are and working really hard never fails us with any client and with any effort. And that happens, you know, we have to make choices to that end every week.
Yeah. I think if you sum it up, it's integrity. You know, we want folks that are working here that have that integrity
and trust.
Because again, like I said at the beginning of this, we're servant leaders, and to be a servant, you have to be trusted. To lead, you have to be trusted. And so above all else, that's really what we're after here.
Alrighty, well, everyone, we're nearing the end of our firm tour here today. So I just wanted to take these last couple of minutes to say thank you to our guests at Hoefer Wysocki. It was great, you know, personally to see you all again. It's been a while since I've seen you all. I look forward to seeing you all here in a couple of months. But also on behalf of the students, thank you for sharing behind the curtains look of what it's like working at your office and showing us a bit of the design methods and process that you all go through. I think it's all been very helpful. One more thing that I wanted to, or I guess 2 things before we head out today, is I wanted to remind everybody that Hoefer Wysocki is going to be at the career fair tomorrow. You all should have been receiving emails the past couple of days about registering for the fair, so please do so and be sure to visit them and let them know that you came to the firm tour today. And I also wanted to say that everyone here, as part of an initiative that we have at our AIS chapter, by attending today's event, you'll be entered to win reimbursement for your spring membership fees. And that includes if you're already a member, if you're not a member, your spring membership will be covered and you can become an AIS member for free. So thank you for joining today. You'll be entered in that. And more info about that will be seen in social media posts that we'll have later on. Any final thoughts, Hoefer Wysocki, before we conclude today, or any parting words?
Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah. So anyways, we do have kind of one relatively big announcement.
Yeah.
Granted, please look for Hoefer Wysocki on all the career fair stuff. But as part of our 25-year anniversary, we are embracing a name change. It is now going to be Hoefer Welker. It is in response to our president, who is Rob Welker, who is very involved in the leadership in our firm currently. He is kind of taking over the leadership position that David Wysocki once had in our office, who is now retired. So if you go to our website, you may see some things switching over to Hoefer Welker, but know that for the career fair, everything's still under Hoefer Wysocki. So
one of the 2.
It will be Hoefer Wysocki. We were just too far down the road to make the transition to be able to make it halfway through career fair. So you'll see a little bit of stuff with Hoefer Wysocki, but know that we're still the same firm, we're still the same people, and it's all the same leadership, and we still have the same passion and drive as before. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you for the reminder, Christy. Well, and thank you everybody. That concludes our time here today. I wish everybody the best of luck as you go back to school. Our first day back is today, and I look forward to seeing y'all hopefully here soon. And be sure to attend the career fair.
All
Thank you,
right,
everybody.
take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
I noticed we had a